funniest fails in NFL history.
It's behind the line of scrimmage.
Each play in the NFL features countless moving parts, and just one misstep by a player or bad call by a coach could lead to it failing. Today, we will break down some of the funniest fails to ever occur in NFL history.
Absolutely all alone, and he trips.
The first fail is arguably the funniest and most embarrassing blunder to ever happen on an NFL field. 1. The but fumble Mark Sanchez got off to a hot start in his NFL career as the starting quarterback for the New York Jets. However, this would be short-lived. Arguably, the turning point of his time in the NFL would come in a regular season matchup against the New England Patriots on November 22, 2012. After a solid first quarter that ended in a 0-0 tie, the Jets would absolutely collapse in the second quarter, giving up 35 points while responding with only 3 of their own. The low point of this quarter and arguably the Jets franchise as a whole would come when Sanchez would run into the rear end of his offensive lineman Brandon Moore, sending him to the ground. This would happen as a result of him turning the wrong way on a handoff and attempting to run himself to salvage the play. While this would have been embarrassing enough on its own, the hit would rock Sanchez so hard that he would fumble the ball. To make things even worse, the Patriots would then scoop up the fumble and turn it for a touchdown. When talking about the play, Sanchez was quoted as saying, "I was thinking a different play in my head." That was a mental error there. As soon as I realized there was no one to hand it to, I started to run toward the line and tried to cover it up and just get down, and I slid right into Brandon Moore.
We're already getting beat. It could happen. Really?
I was just trying to get down. The play was over, say Uncle. Do the right thing, get to a 2nd and 10 and live to play another down. I'm not a big believer in luck, but that was pretty unlucky. It was really too bad. It's embarrassing. You screw up the play and I'm trying to do the right thing. It's not like I'm trying to force something. I start to slide and I slide in the worst spot I possibly could, right into Brandon Moore. I guess I was more stunned than anything, just like a car accident. I was like, whoa, what just happened? Then, the ball's gone. It was weird. As soon as this play happened, it was destined to be one of the biggest jokes of the season. It was replayed multiple times throughout the game, and players on both sides could find the humor in the blunder. Up next is one of the funniest played calls that would go on to lose a team a crucial game and put an end to their season. 2. The Dallas Cowboys one-lineman play. This next fail came last season in the divisional round of the playoffs between the Dallas Cowboys and the San Francisco 49ers. The score was 12-19 with enough time left for only one play. While many coaches would elect to go with a Hail Mary or a hook and ladder style of play, this would not be the case for Dallas head coach Mike McCarthy. Instead, the Cowboys would roll out Ezekiel Elliott, the team's running back, as the only lineman on the field. Along with this, they had Tony Pollard and Dak Prescott in the backfield and the remaining 8 players as potential pass catchers. We would never get to see McCarthy's ridiculous scheme come to fruition, as the second that Elliott snapped the ball, he would be flattened by the 49ers defensive lineman. With only Pollard there to stop the oncoming bull rush, Prescott would have to hurriedly get the ball off to a receiver on a crossing route. With the play being unable to develop, the receiver was quickly swallowed up by the defense and the game would come to an end. This was a laughable idea, and realistically, it had no way of working. After the game, McCarthy was quoted as saying, "It didn't get going." I really don't want to get into detail on it, but that obviously wasn't the plan. It's obviously a gadget play or whatever to end it. It's the last play situation call we practice. This was such a flop of a play call that many were calling for McCarthy to lose his job as a result of it. However, this would not end up happening.
Right away, and that'll do it. The 49ers back to the championship game.
This next fail featured a premier pass rusher making an unfathomable fluke. 3. Jim Marshall running the wrong way. Jim Marshall was an elite pass rusher during his 20 years in the NFL. In that time, he was named to the Pro Bowl twice and won a Super Bowl title. However, with a player spending this much time in the league, it is a tall task to get through their career without a few mistakes. Despite this, Marshall would make a boneheaded error that would almost cost the Minnesota Vikings the game against the San Francisco 49ers in a regular season matchup on October 25, 1964. The Vikings held a commanding 27-17 lead in the fourth quarter. Things seemed to be over with the Vikings well on their way to a victory when Marshall forced and recovered a fumble. However, after recovering the fumble, he would do the unthinkable. He began running the wrong way and went untouched all the way to the 49ers end zone. Once reaching the end zone, he would toss the ball to the official and begin celebrating his score. However, to his surprise, the 49ers would end up being awarded 2 points rather than Minnesota getting 7. Marshall would catch some flack from his opponents after this play, one 49ers player patting him on the shoulder and thanking him for the points after the game. However, this fail would not go on to kill the Vikings' chances of winning, and they would escape with a 27-22 victory. Years after the moment, Marshall was asked to recount the play, and he was quoted as saying, "It was tough when it happened. I took my football career very seriously, and to make a mistake, of course, it's something that you don't want on your resume. But mistakes happen." Norm Van Brocklin was known to be tough on mistakes, but that didn't cause us to lose the game.
I had made, the biggest mistake.
And he just said, "Hey, Jim, just forget about it." And that's what I remember, and that's what I've been trying to do. Our next entry features 2 fails from the same player. 4. Leon Lett's 2 embarrassing plays. Despite Leon Lett being a 2-time Pro Bowler and a 3-time Super Bowl champion, his elite accomplishments and play on the field would be overshadowed by 2 of the biggest fails in NFL history. The first incident would occur on November 26, 1993, in a game between the Dallas Cowboys and Miami Dolphins. This game took place in the middle of a snowstorm that made it very difficult for either offense to get much going. As a result of this, the game came down to a last-second field goal. After a Dallas teammate blocked the kick, Lett made the mistake of trying to recover the ball. After he touched it, the Dolphins took full advantage of the opportunity and came up with the ball. They then were given a fresh set of downs and once again attempted a field goal, this time making it. After the game, Cowboys head coach Jimmy Johnson was quoted as saying, "It's the most disappointing loss I've ever been around. We had it won. Leon made a mistake, one of the 100 mistakes in the game, but that one cost us." When recounting the moment, Lett said, "I avoided talking about it. I avoided dealing with it. It was just one of the worst days of my NFL career. This would be a terrible way to lose a game, but the video of the players fighting through the snow for the ball is laughable." The second fail from Lett came on January 31, 1993 in Super Bowl 27 between Lett's Dallas Cowboys and the Buffalo Bills. The Cowboys held a dominant 52-17 lead with less than 5 minutes left in the game. It appeared that they would be able to run the score up some more after Lett recovered a fumble and began taking off for the end zone. He made it 64 yards and began holding the ball out to celebrate before crossing the goal line. What he did not know was that Bills wide receiver Don Beebe had been in hot pursuit the entire time, and as soon as Lett extended the ball, he pounced. Beebe punched the ball out and it went flying out of the end zone, resulting in a touchback. Despite this, the Cowboys would still leave the game as Super Bowl champions even if this was a big fail on Lett's part.